Good morning. You're with me, Tanima Biswas, and our top story. Yet another case which shows the deplorable state of women's safety in the country. A police head constable in Bengaluru has been suspended and booked for flashing at a woman. The cop, who was returning home on his bike after a party, stopped near a colony and allegedly flashed at the woman who was feeding dogs. When the woman screamed for help, local residents who were gathered around there rushed to the spot and started filming the cop. It was then that the policeman reportedly started crying, apologized and fled. But this is an incident which is happening in the IT capital of the country, in Bengaluru, where a woman was flashed by a head constable. At the moment, what we can in fact say is that an FIR has been lodged against this cop and he's been suspended pending inquiry. This entire episode once again brings into question the issue of women's safety. And viewers, this is taking place in one of the main metro cities in the country, in Bengaluru, where a head constable, a policeman, has been accused of flashing at a woman. He has at the moment been booked. But we are asking questions from the law enforcers, from the policemen themselves, from the Bengaluru police chief. Should he not answer as to whether or not the protectors there are in fact themselves turning into predators? Let me go across to my colleague Neha Hebale for more on this. Neha, first of all, what is the action which has been taken on this cop so far? We'll go back to Neha. There's some technical issue there, but we were bringing this story to our viewers. In fact, this is probably just a few days after, in fact, a week after, exactly a week after, in fact, let me tell our viewers, after the Nirbhaya anniversary that we observed last week, when on December 16th was the date which is marked as a red letter day in terms of women safety issue in the country. On December 16th, 2012, after that incident of a woman being brutally gang raped in Delhi, several laws changed in the country. But here we are looking at an incident where it is the law enforcer himself, a policeman in Bengaluru, who's been accused of a sexual crime there. He has, in fact, been booked in this case of flashing, where a woman has accused him of flashing at her. I am joined over the phone line on the broadcast at the moment by Saira Shah Halim, activist. Ma'am, thank you so much for speaking to us here on Mirror Now. But this is a very shocking incident. Not only is it an incident which is happening in a major metro city in the country, but in this case, it's a policeman himself who's involved, a head constable, who has in fact been booked now after this complaint by the woman. But this is happening in broad, in front of the public. There were other people there who in fact later came on and started filming him, taking a video of him, which is why later he apologized and ran away. But this is shocking because of the reason that it is a cop who's involved.
I agree with you, because law enforcement enablers, when they start acting in this absolutely shameless way, with complete disregard to women's safety, security, and appalling gesture of flashing, it's deeply disturbing. I think we need to set out a very strong precedent, because here people put their safety, their trust in law enforcement agencies, in officers, and people wearing the uniform. They need to uphold the highest integrity, at least in public life. And here he's brazenly doing this act, which has to be condemned from all fronts. I think this is inexcusable.
Right. And ma'am, the fact is that this is taking place in the IT capital of the country. This is the IT city of the country where, we expect that things are actually forward in terms of ease of living, safety, women's safety being one of the main factors in terms of what you would expect to have in a metro city. But the fact that, we'll of course have to try the Bengaluru top cop to see what he has to say on this. But it is one of the major issues which cannot be ignored, that this is the level of women's safety in our metros today.
Absolutely. So if we can well imagine that in the heart of a bustling city where people work, in the IT, we can well imagine what the situation is in the rural areas, because if officers, if cops don't uphold the pledge that they made to the country to safeguard the interests of women, to ensure that there is no lawlessness. And if they partake in such activities where they go around flashing, it is appalling. I think we need to name and shame the culprits, whether they wear the uniform or they do not wear the uniform. The point is that you are a citizen of the country and you need to be accountable for your actions. And this is a very, very disturbing incident. And I think we really need to put this out in the public domain so that these incidents don't keep reoccurring again and again.
Saira Shah Halim, thank you so much for joining us in the discussion today. I'm also joined over the phone line by Mr. M. Nagaraj, a retired DCP. Mr. Nagaraj, thank you so much for joining us here on Mirror Now. But what we are looking at is a case of protectors turning predator. In this case, it is a head constable in Bengaluru who's been accused of flashing. He's been suspended pending inquiry, an FIR against him. Is this the way policemen are supposed to behave? And if so, shouldn't a stricter action be taken against him to set an example in this situation?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I must call it as an unfortunate incident. But being a policeman, he should have been restraintful and most responsible, most accountable. As my other co-panelist was talking about. Yes, must understand the situation and react to the situation appropriately at any given point of time, 24/7. That is the duty of the policeman. That's why I said it's an unfortunate incident. This has happened by in the late, almost in the late night or in the night, I can say, in a condition where he was not supposed to be and he should have been at home in a happy situation. Unfortunately, he landed in trouble. It was almost a sort of suicidal one by him. No citizen with little humanness will appreciate this, and I condemn this. Suitable action need to be taken. Of course, I understand it has been taken already and is suspended. Followed by FIR is there and investigation has to be done appropriately.
Yes, that's part of the procedure, but that is what we keep seeing. Don't you think, sir, because this question has repeatedly come up ever since the Nirbhaya case also for that matter, and we are 10 years down the line, in fact, to that the cops themselves need to be sensitized. The police force itself needs to be sensitized. We've seen this repeatedly being, taken up as a justification, if nothing else, by several police force chiefs, essentially saying we need to run workshops, etc., talk about this. But, what faith will people have on the justice system if a policeman himself is being accused in such a case? So shouldn't it actually start from home that our cops themselves need to be better sensitized to such situations? And this is completely shocking.
Yeah, this is an ongoing process and it's a regular process one has to do, and its responsibility has to be taken by the leader. That is at least to the rank of the DCP. Time and again when they meet the subordinate police officers, that to a cutting-edge officers like police constable or a head constable or a sub-inspector, and keep repeating this and see that their vigil is kept over them and they behave in all the 24/7 or every all of the week and 365 days, whether they are on duty or off duty, whether they are on duty or on leave. All these things matters because ultimately he is called as a policeman first, then by name next.
Right.
That is the thing, at any cost, the name and fame of the force should not be, damaged.
Right.
And that should be in the back of their mind, that should be there always. That can be done only by repeated goading them or telling them or briefing them should be done.
Right.
Any small mistakes has to be taken seriously, and whoever is the perpetrator or the person who commits the mistake shall be dealt with then and there.
Right.
And it should be set an example to others. Oh, this is a serious matter. If this thing happens, there will be a serious consequences of his, not only of his service, but to the family concerned who are depending on him. This is unless and until
strong example. examples need to be set in such cases. M. Nagaraj, their retired DCP from Bengaluru, thank you so much for joining us in this discussion. I'm also joined by my colleague Neha Hebale from Bengaluru. Neha, have we tried to speak to the Bengaluru top cop on this? And what is his reaction?
Well, Tanima, we did speak to the DCP of that division, the Northeast Division, and we understand that, of course, while having called the incident shameful, they have actually put this cop on suspension right now, pending inquiry. But, like we heard it, of course, even from the retired cop over here, M. Nagaraj, he's very clearly gone on to say that a shameful incident, to say the least. These are the ones, the cops today, of course, the police today are the force that's supposed to keep the people of the city safe. And, an incident like this, of course, naturally being condemned by one and all, but we'll have to see what, of course, following procedure right now, the cop has been placed on suspension, but a departmental inquiry would be carried out against him. Also, at this point, we are picking up that, there were allegations that he was in a drunken stupor as well. So that will also have to be looked into as to whether the, cop over here was drinking on duty. So there are several allegations at this point in time, but we'll really, of course, have to wait it out and see what action is taken against him, and whether, of course, that would further go on to set an example for the other cops today.
Right, Neha Hebale there, thank you so much for joining us. We'll of course keep tracking this big story with you through the day.